Judges chapter 19. And it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehemjudah. And his concubine played the whore against him, and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehemjudah, and was there 4 whole months. And her husband arose and went after her, to speak friendly unto her, and to bring her again, having his servant with him, and a couple of asses. And she brought him into her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him. And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him, and he abode with him 3 days. So they did eat and drink and lodge there. And it came to pass on the 4th day, when they arose early in the morning, that he rose up to depart. And the damsel's father said unto his son-in-law, Comfort thy heart with a morsel of bread, and afterwards go your way. And they sat down and did eat and drink, both of them together. For the damsel's father had said unto the man, Be content, I pray thee, and tarry all night, and let thine heart be merry. And when the man rose up to depart, his father-in-law urged him. Therefore he lodged there again. And he arose early in the morning on the 5th day to depart. And the damsel's father said, Comfort thine heart, I pray thee. And they tarried until afternoon, and they did eat both of them. And when the man rose up to depart, he and his concubine and his servant, his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said unto him, Behold, now the day draweth toward evening. I pray you tarry all night. Behold, the day groweth to an end. Lodge here, that thine heart may be merry, and tomorrow get you early on your way, that thou mayest go home. But the man would not tarry that night, but he rose up and departed, and came over against Jebus, which is Jerusalem, and there were with him 2 asses saddled. His concubine also was with him. And when they were by Jebus, the day was far spent, and the servant said unto his master, Come, I pray thee, and let us turn into this city of the Jebusites, and lodge in it. And his master said unto him, We will not turn aside hither unto the city of a stranger. That is not of the children of Israel. We will pass over to Gibeah. And he said unto his servant, Come, and let us draw near to one of these places to lodge all night, in Gibeah or in Ramah. And they passed on and went their way, and the sun went down upon them while they were by Gibeah, which belongeth to Benjamin. And they turned aside thither to go in and to lodge in Gibeah. When he went in, he set him down in a street of the city, for there was no man that took them into his house to lodging. And behold, there came an old man from his work out of the field at even, which was also of Mount Ephraim, and he sojourned in Gibeah, but the men of the place were Benjamites. And when he had lifted up his eyes, he saw a wayfaring man in the street of the city. And the old man said, Whither goest thou, and whence comest thou? And he said unto him, We are passing from Bethlehemjudah toward the side of Mount Ephraim, for thence am I. And I went to Bethlehemjudah, but I am now going to the house of the Lord, and there is no man that receiveth me to house. Yet there is both straw and provender for our asses, and there is bread and wine also for me, and for thy handmaid, and for the young man which is with thy servants. There is no want of anything. And the old man said, Peace be with thee. Howsoever, let all thy wants lie upon me, only lodge not in the street. So he brought him into his house, and gave provender unto the asses, and they washed their feet, and did eat and drink. Now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about, and beat at the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thy house, that we may know him. And the man, the master of the house, went out unto them, and said unto them, Nay, my brethren, nay, I pray you, do not so wickedly, seeing that this man is come into my house. Do not this folly. Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble ye them, and do with them what seemeth good unto you. But unto this man do not so vile a thing. But the men would not hearken to him. So the man took his concubine, and brought her forth unto them. And they knew her, and abused her all the night until the morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go. And then came the woman in the dawning of the day, and fell down at the door of the man's house where her lord was, till it was light. And her lord rose up in the morning, and opened the doors of the house, and went out to go his way. And behold, the woman his concubine had fallen down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. And he said unto her, Up, let us be going. But none answered. Then the man took her upon an ass, and the man rose up and gat him unto his place. And when he was come into his house, he took a knife, and laid hold on his concubine, and divided her together with her bones into 12 pieces, and sent her into all the coasts of Israel. And it was so, that all that saw it said, There was no such deed done nor seen, from the day that the children of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt unto this day. Consider of it, take advice, and speak your minds. This is one of the chapters that I wish wasn't in the Bible. It just deals with morally corrupt individuals in more detail than I would really ever want to know. But it's here. And the people who wrote the book of Judges wanted us to see just how morally corrupt these people had been. And the story is basically, Levite priest has a wife. For some reason, she has a relationship with somebody else, leaves him, goes back to the home of her father. 4 months later, he goes to try and win her back. And he stays with his father-in-law for several days. Then finally, late one afternoon, he leaves with his wife, with his servant, and they travel, and not that far from where they're living, obviously, is a place called Jebus, which is the place we now call Jerusalem. It was then occupied by the Jebusites. It wasn't occupied, didn't become a holy city until it was actually conquered by King David, who conquered the Jebusites. And that's coming down the road. But at that time, it was occupied by people who were the Jebusites, who were people that were worshippers of Baal and Ashtaroth, and should have been cleaned out, but weren't. And he didn't feel comfortable going there. So the next town over was Gibeah, which was populated by Hebrews. And he decided he wanted to go there, or Ramah, which was just a little further on. And he got to Gilead. It was dark. He turned in. There was nobody at the gate to offer him shelter, so he was sitting in the street. An old man came in from the fields, and they got to talking. They finally went to the old man's house. And then it says, and certain sons of Belial. You've probably forgotten that phrase, but that is the description the Lord gave of the people from Sodom and Gomorrah who knocked on the door, demanded that Lot be cast out so that he could be sexually abused. These people knocked on the door. They demanded, now this was men, sons of Belial, men of Belial, and they demanded that the Levite priest be thrown out so that he could be sexually abused by them all night long. The guy who owned the house said, no, can't do that. I have a daughter, and this man has a concubine, and you can have them instead, but you can't do this guy. He's a guest in my house. I don't understand these people. Why is it okay to throw the women out, but it isn't okay to throw the guy out? I mean, neither one of them should be thrown out. You just tell these people to get lost. You don't tolerate living in a community like that. In any event, somebody makes the decision that the concubine is going to be put out for them to sexually abuse, and they do that all night, and the woman dies on the doorstep. When this Levite gets up in the morning, he finds her at the doorstep. He's so horrified, he takes her up to his house, and he cuts her into 12 pieces with the bones, and he sends one piece of her to each of the 12 tribes as a witness against the Benjaminites for the cruelty that they inflicted upon her. Now, she wasn't going to feel anything because she was already dead, so cutting in the pieces was part of the testimony. And all of the children of Israel testified and felt that no greater crime had ever happened since they came out of Egypt, and that they needed to do something to the tribe of Benjamin for allowing this to happen. And that's where this chapter ends.